Here we are once again, no matter what the obstacle, no matter what's in front of us, no matter what we have to go over, under, or around, or straight through, we are going to be here. Brother Neil Frazier, you must be dropping some powerful stuff, because all day long my internet has been working fine, and 10 minutes before it's been issues. But you know what? There's always ways around that, and we'll never stop. That means you're doing something effective, and things look good now. But if I happen to fall off, you keep on going, because the show will go on.
Okay.
What can I say? You're a very powerful man. You must know that. I know you're not going to say it, but you have a very crucial role, because this is the age of deception, and there's so many things out here put out to keep us distracted, even more so. But then there are things out here that are so glaringly obvious. But so many of us go for the substances, the visual distractions, the carnal, low vibrational lusts of normal things that should be good and wholesome, but they make it unwholesome. And so a lot of us are walking around here confused. And I'm looking for you to direct the way with the research that you do. Brother, welcome back for another week of our meal on a righteous level to keep us walking straight.
Well, thank you, Brother Lance. It's always good to connect with you. And it reminded me of this movie I saw one time where when they finally disconnected the link between the mothership that was over them and the people, they were able to break through, right? So apparently you have broken through that, with them trying to discourage you with breaking down your initial channel. But then when I looked at it, I was like, well, in one way, that's the creator's way too, when they use something bad to make it good, right? Of saying, okay, well, the real people now who we have to go to war with will find a way to reconnect with you, because you are a powerful brother, and they only fear our people like you who have the ability to reach our people. You know,
that's what it is.
As long as you're talking that garbage and, they keep your desires hooked on that, you're no threat to them. But the minute you begin to show, and see, what you do is real love, because there are so many people, and it's easy to do, Lance, this, to say, man, the heck with this, I'm gonna go out and make the money. I know, because you're a very intelligent brother. I know if you didn't focus so much on bringing information to us, that it's no telling what you could do. Not that, it matters, but I
know what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, somebody told me that the other day. They said, Lance, all these years you've been doing this. Imagine you put your mind toward learning different skills and all of this stuff. And I said, yeah, but I'm where I'm supposed to be.
That's right.
But if I was one person who was just thinking about money and going after things and just money, and that's it, cutthroat the way everybody else does,
exactly,
I'd be a very wealthy man. But that's not what I've been going after.
No question. So, the point is that those other people are not really a threat to them, but a brother like you will always be a threat to them. But if nobody else say it, I'll tell you, man, I'm so appreciative for you, the things that you and your wife sacrifice, and the fact of the commitment that you have to us. It's very important. And I know, and we're going to get into the text today, and we'll start bringing out some of this stuff to light, that now we're in a full-blown warfare. You either have to decide that you're all in or you're all out. There is no middle ground.
That's right.
You can't hide. Well, you can hide, but they're still going to attack you whether you fight back or not. And see, the other thing too is we have a creator-given right to express, just like you take, I was mentioning the fact of the fake Constitution Amendment about free speech. Well, there's a thing called Article 19, which is your human right to speak, to free speech. So they get us all caught up into, I was talking to a white guy the other day, a veteran, and he was talking about civil rights. And I said, man, do you understand the human rights issue that Black folks are dealing with? And he looked straight at me. He was like, yeah, I do. But you see, the thing is even though they know it, it's not up to them to bring this forward. It's up to us.
That's right.
And I'll get into the text. You know, I can talk to you all day, Brother Lance. But, you know, I know you've been busy, man. And again, I want to greet you and everybody in the chat room.
Thank you. Thank you. And let me just say, you know, it's always, you know, when I look at my modules here, when you look at a sound mixer, and it has the levers for the bass, it has the levels for the mid-range, it has a level for the treble. If one is up all the way high and can't go up anymore, there's another one that can move up. So many of us get caught up in just one way of doing things. And when that one way is smashed, people are like, ha, 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 see? No, there's so many ways to work around. And these recent happenings have caused me to modify my game from the old way I would do things.
See?
Now, it's more time, I'm more efficient, and things have picked up and gone even better. But if you look at the low numbers on the one channel, no, there's other stuff going on that I'm like, wow, it took that to wake me up to get into all the other things that I'm poised to ascend in. And it's not ego. See, this is the thing. And I'll let you carry on, brother, because I know we started late.
No,
but there's no ego. There's no ego here. So we have many people on the sidelines who are full of ego, just want to be the star. Want to be. If that's your role, fine to do stuff and bring information, but they want to bring information to be seen.
Yes.
I can show my face. I showed my face the other day on the show. I believe you were on it on Instagram. And I was just flowing about different things and parents. And I saw you there. And it's cool. But I've had a lifetime of being on center stage in different ways in my life that I don't have that hunger that people just, I want to be the one. Do the research like a brother Neil Frazier, and maybe you can do it. But if you can't do research, don't expect that. See, I have not done the research that you have, brother, and nor would I try to even sound like you. This thing is embedded and saturated and part of your core. But what I can do is speak on things and get the butts in the seats so that when it's time for people to really hear some true research, they're here to hear you. And that's my role. And I'm so glad to play that role. I'll come out as the lead singer. Well, not a lead singer. What is it? What is the first act? What is the word they use when they have the main star, but they have the opening act? I don't mind being the opening act as people file in to see you. I'm happy for that. I don't mind sweeping the floor and cleaning the toilets. I'm just glad to be here. And from that authentic feeling is something that could never die. You know, you can't take that away, that momentum, the real work on a spiritual level. These people, they can't smash a spirit like mine. You know, and especially in other areas, like I explained to you what I'm doing now, this other work being done, I'm so overjoyed. You can't take that from me because I'm in a better position than I ever been before in my life. And like I said, I have to look to this show. I don't care if it's 5 minutes or an hour after. We got to talk because I got to tell you some really great news. I will shut up after this. Go on and talk, brother. You had the floor is yours. I'm just so glad to be here.
Wow, Brother Lance, you said a mouthful, man. And but you know, I could just eat all day off of what you just said. But it's one thing you said that really gets to the core of the technology they use against our people effectively is attention. See, some kind of a way, when they manipulate numbers, that is how they make Black people get angry at each other. Because if you look at the situation with the house nigga and the field nigga, it caused so much animosity when you out there 100-degree heat picking cotton and shit sticking your fingers, and you look up and somebody carrying tea in a plate to somebody. You feel me? That brings a natural and so they are the masters at manipulating our emotions. And they use attention to do that very effectively. And, you know, I'll admit, man, our people starve for attention. Okay, that's just the way we have been 500 years on a plantation. We have been thoroughly taught this. But the way, what we don't comprehend is something else you said that's very important. Well, but why it's so hard for us to be in the background? But the most powerful people that affect things are the people working in the background, or the hidden hand.
Yes.
So just like the people that they show us on TV and up front, those are not the people that are calling the shots. The real people that are calling the shots, we will never see. And I'll use this as an example before I get into the text. A couple of years ago, when I was trying to get some funding for the academy in the early stages, and I shared this with you once, Lance. I went to this, it was like a symposium, but the majority of the people that had the funds that were giving out, lending the funds, the money, were from Catholic charities or their subsidiaries. So the people that invited me, the organization from Oakland, I'm not going to put their name on here because I know our people are twisted in ways that we can't even think of. But it was a Black organization. She emailed me. I went there. They wanted me to present, and I presented. And so Felicia said to me, I said, well, when will we get to talk directly to the people that are responsible for, you know, lending the money to Black organizations? And people get uncomfortable when you talk direct about our people. They get uncomfortable. But I don't have that problem. So she looked right at me. She said, well, Neil, the people that are going to make that decision, we never see them. We don't know who that is. These people are just like liaisons. You see what I'm saying? So this is what they have done to us. And because too many of us want to be in the limelight, we can't get anything done, because you have to have people like you working in the shadows, brother. You cannot produce anything if you don't have somebody that's willing to get dirty, to do the nuts and bolts.
That's right.
To plant the seeds, to harvest the seeds. There is no way anything is going to manifest without those type of individuals, brother. So you are somebody that's held in high esteem by somebody like me that understand and comprehend your importance. I don't know how other people see you. Well, it's obvious people love you, but the fact that the people that are really supposed to be connected on this journey coming up now that we're fighting, they'll reach out to you, brother. That's for sure. But today we're going to talk about something that's very, very serious in our community. And again, you know, because we have so many different things coming at us, we overlook some very important things. And we're going to talk about this, and then I'm going to share my journey on the research that I looked way back into antiquity to look at where this actually generated from, and is still being carried on. And, you know, being in San Francisco is an international cities. So there are people from all over the world coming here, mainly from European countries. Okay, let's call it for what it is: China, Asia, and European countries. So today's topic, real life vampires who are stealing Black women. Now, their records say, the National Institute of Crime Statistics say, that it's 97,000 Black women that are missing in the United States, or there were in 2022. And as we know, if you're gonna, that's 97,000 that you were able to document. You have to double that number, because when Black children or women go missing, you don't get an Amber Alert. So it's just like when they do the fake numbers on employment. Well, there are a lot of Black men that have given up looking for jobs. So they don't go around to your house and say, hey, did you apply for a job this week? You know what I mean? And so in preparation of getting to the, because when something is brought to me, to my spirit, then I know I don't have to look for things to talk about. I just wait. And if you remember at the end of our last video, we talked about Vlad the Impaler and Blackula. You were talking about the fact that you knew William Marshall personally. That's a fascinating story.
Yes.
But I did something that, and you know, I'm starting to do this more often when I get out. I went to a Catholic church. They got these big Catholic churches here that are open all day, and people go and sit in there. And I actually haven't been in a church in over 12 years, but I haven't been in a Catholic church but one time in my life in Washington, D.C. And I went in there and I sat in the back, and it was very weird. It was like being in a tomb. There are all these candles around the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And the big picture of Caesar Borgia in the back. And then you had these two, I guess they were priests. Everybody was sitting on the front rows. You had these priests standing in the altar saying things. I couldn't even make out what they were saying. And then you had these people chanting the Hail Mary. And it was, man, it was it was an experience. But it gave me the curiosity to look deeper into this. And so the reason why I want to talk about this is because Hollywood has done a very good job in making us think that this whole vampire thing is something that was created by Hollywood. No. In fact, this is a very integral part of the European experience and their ancient history, and how they glorify this history right under your nose without you knowing it, and how it is affecting us every day now because the stakes are much higher. So there are 97,000 Black women that are missing in 2022. We know the number is much higher, but I ran across a guy that's an anthropologist and a European guy, and he talked about the dragon bloodlines, the serpent seeds, the druids, and the dragons. And there's a word, it's called shriggle, and it's actually talking about living vampires. So now, other than Vlad the Impaler, which we know lived in 1462, or was recognized by the world because of that Ottoman massacre. But the first vampire that was recorded in history, his name was Guillaume Grando in 1578 and 1656. Guillaume, a villager from the region of Istria, which is modern day Croatia, Oh, and I have some fascinating news to add along with this that answers a lot of questions, or will begin to answer a lot of questions for us in regards to a certain country. But this Shigeru is also an owl. It's not just a vampire. And so now I was really intrigued because I started putting the links together with the big illuminated owl that they worship, okay, and the dragon, the vampire. And I was like, so how does this? So I did more digging and more digging, and I found out this word, Shigur, which is translated as a owl, which a vampire can change into an owl. Let me put it that way. And I was like, wow, okay, that's the meaning of this. And so the villagers from that region, they recorded in their history about this vampire, and is the local word for someone resembling a vampire and a warlock. Now, a warlock is just a male sorcerer. And the reason why this started getting to me and why I got so tuned in on this is because, again, I started putting two and two together, and I'm thinking, what is it going to take to get our people from under this obvious spell? That this is, because when you look back beyond 500 years of indoctrination of our people, it's a totally different religious history, totally different. It's based on military might, and it's based on political might. In fact, the Roman Catholic Church was built on this, and this is why they fought the Inquisitions. But somehow they have taught our people that this religion that they're serving has to do with this soft, meek personality that our people worship, that loves everybody and cares about everybody and will give the shirt off their back, which we know is a lie. Or we wouldn't have all these homeless people. And love your neighbor as yourself. This, excuse me, this is not the history of what is on the record, okay? And this history is not from fictional writers. This history is from priests from the Catholic Church. It's from medical doctors that they wanted to kill when they started going against this, and also the governments of that time. Okay, so this is not fictional like Hollywood would have us to believe, okay? This is a history we're going to show today. And like I said, beyond 500 years of what they have indoctrinated our people with this swing low, sweet chariot stuff, we're talking about the most brutal machine, killing machine in the history of mankind. Okay. Now, there are, oh yeah, and I want to finish this point that, you know, when my eyes became open to this, I started to see things that I didn't see before. Okay. But these people are alive and thriving today. They are here. And I'm going to show you the connection and how this sorcery has been used on our people, not only to have them in a vice grip spiritually and psychologically, okay, but also to give all of their money to this. Okay. Now, there are three types of vampires. Okay, and again, we're talking thousands of years of history here. Okay, so we ain't talking about no Hollywood movie that has been made. We're talking about thousands of years of recorded history here, of their recorded history. Okay, there are three types of vampires: a sanguinarian, which feeds on a small amount of human blood. Then there is the psychic vampires, which is a creature said to feed off of the life force, okay, which is the etheric equivalent to blood, okay, the life force of other living people. And then there's the hybrid or the werewolf. The sanguinarian, okay, which is a living human being walking on the earth today, okay, uses a syringe or a lancer to feed off of small amounts of human blood. There ain't no biting nobody in no neck. Although, when you start to connect the dots, you look at the skull and bones, okay, one of their rituals, okay, because they showed one of our presidents in the coffin. Okay, this is symbolism along with this whole vampire type of energy. Okay, this is the symbolism associated with this. But remember, I told you I had some important information in regards to because I couldn't figure out what is the connection with this small Russian country, Ukraine, why it has so much significance to the world's superpowers. This seems kind of odd, right? So I started looking deeper into the history of this. So I'll just read a few lines here. The Tuatha De Danann, which is, the language that they use for dragon lords. Okay, so before these people settled in Ireland from about 800 BC, okay, they were referred to as the Black Sea Princes of Scythia. Now, Scythia is a very important city in ancient East European history. And white people know this, okay, because there was a fierce war. Now, I want to say something before I give the answer to what I wanted to give to you about this small country with so much that people are fighting over the superpowers. Is that all Europeans are Germans, okay? The French, the Dutch, you name it, okay? So when you go far back enough in Eastern European history, then you see the Franks, okay, who are the original ruling or royal family of Germans, okay? Now, in 800 BC were the Black Sea Princes of Scythia, which is present-day Ukraine. So now I got the answer to what I was searching for. How is this small country, near in Russia, in that territory, how does it have two of the world's superpowers fighting over it? There's your answer. This goes all the way back to the dragon bloodlines and the serpent seeds and the druids, which that royal bloodline is in Ukraine. I don't care if they get mad. this in present day Ukraine? And that is the answer right there. So a bloodline is an ancestry or a heritage that's passed down. Okay. Now, if a sanguinarian is unable to acquire human blood, they will most likely purchase animal blood from a local butcher. Okay, so these are not Neil Frazier's words. These are hundreds of recorded historical documents concerning this behavior. Okay. But yeah, I was shocked. So I remember a couple of months ago, I don't know if I heard it. Yeah, I think I heard it on YouTube. Somebody was saying that these Ukrainians they had gone somewhere, okay, and they set up a bar that said for white people only. And I thought to myself, oh, that's odd for people that's being persecuted and trying to, I said, that's kind of odd behavior. But now you know why. Now you know why. And see, the other problem that we have is we have been under the spell for so long that it's almost like, not we, okay? And I hate to make it seem like I'm in a class by myself. But for the most part, I see this. Lance sees this. People in the chat room, other people out there, they see this now. So they can get angry all they want for us revealing these truths to our people, okay? But this sorcery has been used on our people, is still being used, okay? And this is the history of it. Now, the circle of the dragon, because Vlad the Impaler, who was the first documented individual who we know showed these vampire tendencies, okay? He was son of the dragon, okay? That's what he was called. His father, Dracul, was called the dragon. Okay, this is documented Eastern European history or Indo-European. This is why you have this connection. One of the first kings, other than Clovis the First, was Adolf. Okay, and this is a popular name that we know we have a wicked individual in the history of the world with that name. So when you see this energy out here, you have to recognize, okay, that this has nothing to do with past, present, and future, because etheric energy doesn't have a past, present, and future. So it's just that you have become aware of it now. Okay, so this is the same energy that we're talking about. Now, I want to talk, before I talk about the psychic vampire, I want to talk about something. We know that blood is a life. If you lose blood out of your body, you're going to die, unless it's replaced. And then it has to be the right type of blood. Well, it stands to reason if all this blood, okay, is being gathered, that somebody is doing, you can talk about blood transfusions all you want, okay? There ain't that many blood transfusions in the world. So we have to look at this, and we have to look at the reality of this. And now we have to come to grips with the fact that we've been hoodwinked. Okay. Now, like I said, this kumbaya religion that you worship today and that you've been tricked about, that is not the history of Christianity. That if you want to call it something else, go ahead. But that is not the history of what we know as Christianity. So why are you continuing to fool yourself that it is? It's not. That is a 500-year-old plantation-driven narrative that was used for the purpose that it has accomplished with you and other melanated people. Okay. So let's talk about the second type of vampire. Okay, we're talking about a psychic vampire. Okay, and a psychic vampire is said to be a creature that feeds off the life force or the etheric force of other living people. Okay, now I want that to sink into you for a minute. Think about who lives off of your life force, your music, your creations, your inventions, your hard work on the plantations. Who has benefited from your life force? I don't even have to, I have to go into that from your entertainment on the athletic fields and courts. We can go on and on and on with this. But think about who benefits from your life force. Because Black folks haven't benefited from it. Well, I won't say they haven't benefited. They haven't benefited in terms of the feudalism system we live under. So you see, this is why people, you get angry with me for telling you the truth, for someone like Lance for telling you the truth. But we're not, the ice theology and sun theology are two totally separate theologies. Okay? They did not worship this figure that our people are stuck on and give all their money to. They did not. This is not until the Nicene Council in 325 AD. That is not what they believed. Okay, we're talking about thousands of years. Okay, finally, about this before I move on, there's the werewolf. Now, this has been commercialized, I think, more than the other two, but there have been incidences in Eastern Europe where people have said that they were attacked by a werewolf or that they saw one. I didn't find too much information. I don't like to put stuff out there that I don't have, the dimes on. That's speculating. And then finally, the people, the dragon lords and princes of Scythia, present-day Ukraine, they have what they call the Circle of the Dragons, the Druid Circle, which still exists today, where they worship Bahamut or Tiamat in a quest to gain divine ascension, which is going to happen to you naturally, and draconic or dragon power. So you see, before we get into part 2 of this and how we've been tricked, we have to start asking ourselves some serious questions here and looking in the mirror. Okay. Now, we're in a full-blown attack against our people on all fronts. Okay. We see that this is a ancestral and heritage bloodline serpent seed situation. So are you going to continue to fool yourself and our children about what we're dealing with what has been beaten into you in these plantations? Because that's not I don't care what you call it now, how many scriptures you quote. That is not the history of what is here, okay? That is not the history. And it's not the what you call the present day history, okay? It is the same bloodline. Their anthropologists have already said this. Their linguists or linguistic scholars, which is just a branch under anthropology, have verified the languages associated with this. So what are you doing, man? Why are our people continue to do this? Why? This is nonsense. And this is what's holding us back. If I don't say I love Jesus, I guarantee you 90% of our people are going to turn their back. My own family has done it. Turn their back on you. I guarantee you that. See, we're at a point right now in this warfare where our people have got to wake up. We are not woke. Okay, we are not. That is a lie. Now, I get the fact that we got to play this double role in order to work in their corporations. You know, we ain't talking about people starving to death, but we're talking about you, okay, starting to redirect all this money that's going out of the Black community to these churches. When we don't have one center for Black children. This is insane. So, you know, the reason why, because I already know that these vampires are going to clap back at me. But this is so important that when I found this out, I could not keep this away from our people. Okay, so let's go into the second part of this. This was something I found out from their history, because I always knew that Turtle Island was not renamed after Amerigo Vespucci, what you're taught in the history books in school. I knew this, okay? So to verify this dragon spirit and dragon bloodlines that were, oh, and by the way, King Charles said that he is genetically associated with this bloodline, this dragon bloodline. Is, you know, he said it himself. It's on the record. Okay, so at the end of the day, our people have got to open their eyes to the truth, okay, and what you're worshiping. Now, America is the real name of America, okay? And it is named after this ancient druid, what was she called? Winged queen serpent, America. Okay, that is what, when they came here, what they call this land. So
Brother, I'm stepping away for 4 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay. So in reality, the Medu Neter didn't have vowels in it for this very reason. You couldn't deceive somebody like that. But just by switching an E to an A, an A to an E and adding an R, you have totally wiped out the true history of what we're dealing with. See, this is the level of tricknology. You know, our people didn't know nothing about tricking nobody to this extent. For what? We didn't have to. It was not in our hearts, you know, to do that, in our etheric hearts. There was no justification for that. So America is named after this winged queen serpent in 1408. Okay, so when they got here in whatever year they want to claim, 1492, this is the bloodline that they brought. Okay, not no Amerigo Vespucci. So where do we find these vampires that we're talking about? right now. Where do we find them? Because they are active in our society today. They are using all of their powers to manipulate. And let me say this too. They didn't discover AI. Okay. How can you discover this electromagnetic spectrum, which Wi-Fi comes from and AI operates on, that's always been here on the planet and in the universe? How could you discover that? Because you have a God complex. You did not discover that. You just became aware of it. And then you manipulate it for evil purposes. But it's going to backfire. Okay, but where do we find these people? We find these vampires. They run the medical and pharmaceutical industries. Let's just get that out of the way. They are at the top of every major institution and corporation and government in the world. I found this out even here. Okay, they are the ones that are behind the scenes pulling the strings. Okay, and they are walking amongst us, and they live off of human blood. They use syringes, lancers. Okay, this is a documented fact by medical doctors, thousands of years of recorded history, priests, okay, and governmental officials from that time. So you can get mad at Neil Frazier all you want. These are European scholars that have written these records. But they run the medical and pharmaceutical industry. Now, 71.2% of adults in the United States take melatonin doses of 5 milligrams. Where do you think they're getting all this melanin from? What do you think is happening to these 97,000, I would say 150,000 missing Black girls and women? What do you think is happening to them? If you got creatures among us, and see, they hoodwink you with this alien crap about some gray people with long heads. That ain't what's going on. These people can look like you and I. They can walk amongst us. So you're being bamboozled about some aliens, because the real aliens look like us, the ones that they're talking about that's coming back from the etheric world. I don't know what they talking about. Okay. But these people, so 71.2% melanin, so it have to be melanin pills. Where are they getting all this melanin from? You ask yourself that question. Do you know how much? So that is one of the answers to where our missing women are going and girls right there. There's no Amber Alert going out for them. And I guarantee you it's at least 150,000. Okay. In the medical profession, what are they doing? They're manipulating this organ harvesting thing now for fiat. That's all they care about. That's their God. So they're sacrificing the blood of our people on the altar of Jakku, because they carry out these rituals in these little places that they hide in, these cold, dark places. When I went in that Catholic church and sat down in the back, I saw it. It's morbid. It's like being in some kind of mortuary. If talking about the living creator, creatrix, electromagnetic spirit in the universe, how in the hell could it be cold like that? In fact, in our world, the material world, and the etheric world, because the material world is just a reflection of the etheric world. There is no such thing as cold, okay? In thermodynamics, cold is just the absence of heat, because heat causes the atoms and molecules to dance. And without heat, it's cold, state of entropy or inertia. It's cold. But that, it kind of opened my eyes, like, they're missing a life force here. It's not here. And so I began to think, wow, they're taking on, they're taking it for the melanin and the blood, but it's also the life force of the creatrix. Because I remember something Dr. Jewel Pookrum said, if you have a room full of men, it's cold. But as soon as that woman walks in there, everything, heats up. And that life force that we have is something they need to survive. Not just the physical blood and melanin. Well, they need that too. Don't get me wrong. So I know a lot of people gonna get upset about this, but I'm gonna say it anyway because it needs to be said. Now, this is one of the origins of this concept about shedding blood for your sins. And I'm gonna tell you why. I did some thorough research on this before I made this statement. Okay, let me say that again. This concept about origins of blood being shed for your sins came from this. Okay, when Vlad the Impaler, before they went out to battle, they all sat around and worshiped at the table of Dracul. Okay, drinking blood, which you say is red wine. Okay, and eating flesh, a form of cannibalism, for the people that they had impaled, which you said is eating bread. Vlad and his top army generals did this before going out into battle. Now, again, this stuff that you have been taught, it's time to quit this, man. It is. It really is time to quit this. Now, this is bordering on, not bordering, it is insanity. Okay? And you can quote all the scriptures you want. I'm talking about what these people worship that got you doing this stuff today that you have no understanding or comprehension of. And this is why our people, you're talking about being under a curse. No, you're under sorcery or some kind of whatever power they manipulate, what they call them warlocks, uses vampires. Okay. Again, this is their documented thousands of years history. Okay. But this, this whole concept about they call it the Eucharist. You sit around and you drink the wine of Jesus, and that ain't got nothing to do with this right here. Long before that even existed, okay? It's sickening. Okay, and so they refer to this in history as the Pendragon or the head dragon, the high dragon. But get this, they also referred to that high dragon as the King of Kings. See, and I saw something when I was sitting in that Catholic church and saw those people chanting after. And then what happened was the ones with the white robes left after about 45 minutes to an hour. I sat in there a couple hours. It was dark, just the candles. And then this one priest walked in with a black robe on, and he totally ignored the people. So he didn't say one word to them. And they just sat there. Some of them were on the altar or whatever. And he didn't even make eye contact with them. I was like, wow, what's that about? But he was one of those high dragons after the service. And not only is it King of Kings, but it's also the bloodline of the Holy Grail. Now, what is the Holy Grail to you? See, these are not my words. So these folks, they can get mad all they want. So a lot of black folks won't get mad at me, sending emails and stuff. I don't care. Okay? Because what you say about know the truth and the truth shall set you free, I'm giving you the truth today. But some of you are going to choose to still be in bondage. I know this. So as long as I put the information out to the people, that's all I can do. I can't do nothing else. Okay? And the energy of it, wherever it's supposed to go, even for one person, I'm not hung up on that attention stuff they use on our people. Because to be honest with you, it's a whole lot more people that's supposed to receive what they're supposed to receive that get it than they're telling you anyway. So I don't care about that. But let's talk about the traits of energy vampires. Let's talk about the traits of the ones that steal your life force that you're dealing with every day, and the ones that you're kumbayaing with. One of the traits is an energy vampire is a person who leaves you feeling depleted, sorry, both emotionally and mentally after you have spent time with them. Let me say that again. An energy vampire, I call them emotional vampires. A person, why do I keep saying a decision? A person who leaves you feeling depleted, both emotionally and mentally, after you have spent time with them. Now think about that for a minute. Because if you spend time with somebody, you're supposed to come out of that feeling energized. Okay, feeling like, you know what I mean? Especially when you're in physical proximity of a person. But if you don't get that, then you immediately know that this is an energy vampire. Another trait is a person, when we're talking about attention, what they use on you. A person that takes advantage of your caring nature by trying to steal too much of your time or attention away, or guilt tripping you if you are not spending time acknowledging them on social media. I put the social media part, or anywhere, but just, that all eyes on me mentality that they have given our people. If you're not first of all, just because a person doesn't acknowledge you doesn't mean they're not thinking about you. Okay, stop this childish stuff. Get angry at someone because they don't text you or call you. That is insane. That is insane. There's no...
Tell it, brother. Tell it.
Yeah, nobody have to check in with you unless they're married to you. That's different. Taking vows to do that. But other than that, nobody got to check in with you to make sure that you heard they heard what you said. Or I had somebody to tell me that a couple of days ago, you're too busy for me. I'm like, huh? What do you mean am I too busy for you? What does that mean? You're not well, the last I checked, I was the one that made the decision about when I responded to something, or even who I respond to. See, this is the power. Our people have been taught this because that's what they do to us. And so you feel the same way. Hell, I think about people every day I haven't talked to in years. But, you are the one that are caught up into this. So a lot of times it's not and again, this is where they have tricked us, where you respond like Pavlov's dog to a stimulus. But in the etheric world where we're battling now, it's about sight. Like I'm connected to Lance through the etheric world. I don't have to, there doesn't have to be any physical connection in terms of that. Same thing with a lot of other people. Because there's going to come a time, trust and believe, where they're going to cut this connection. I don't know when, but if we return back to nature enough, just like with Dogon being able to see Sirius with the unaided eye, that we have to get back, and you know that's a subject for another day because that requires a strict diet to do that. But we can be able to communicate that way and in other ways. But for sure, the more, because they're trying to bury and hide stuff every minute. I mean, even when you're asleep, they are doing stuff, okay? Because they have control, let's face it, they have control over the distribution of most things. And I remember this one brother, I'm not gonna call his name, I've always had a lot of respect for him in business ever since I read one time when he said he turned down $1 million and because, and I think he was talking to his cousin, he was saying on their way back, imagine if they're going to pay me $1 million, how much I must be worth. And see, we downplay ourselves, but the number one thing is we have to control, and this is what I wanted to say, something I recently heard him say, that when he started controlling the distribution of the products, it changed things. So we have to now start thinking differently. Distribution is everything. How we distribute, where we distribute. You know, again, you don't have to limit yourself. I was recently in a Zoom where it was explained how you can use AI to actually further yourselves in different areas. But also with that, we have to use that knowledge to help our people. So, and the last part I want to talk about is the history of the Royal Dragon Bloodlines, the dynasty that still exists here in America. Okay, they started out as the Merovingians, which was the ruling family. I think he was the father of Clovis I. His name was Merovic, which was the ruling family of the Franks, a Germanic people, until from I believe the 5th century till the 7th century. These are the same, like those fake people, these are the same people that have used the same system for thousands of years, ever since they visited our lands, the land of the sun, to thaw out. And when they thawed out, you were the one that were caught in the spell. And with that, Brother Lance, I think I'm done.
Yes, my brother. Thank you so much. And this knowledge that you share with us, it's not just something made up or emotionalism. You do research and you bring facts. Mm-hmm. That's the real meat that sticks with us, because there's just so much confusing things that don't fit in right with other so-called truth. Because if truth is truth,
yes,
even if you're confused about all of it, eventually when your wisdom grows and your understanding comes up, you'll fit it all in.
Yes.
Truth always complements truth. If you have 5 truths and a 6th one shows up and doesn't work well with those other ones, then you know something's wrong.
That's it.
You see?
That's it.
So sometimes we don't get it because we're not ascended where we should be, but eventually we would. And I just want to say this before you go. How many times have we had a dilemma that we couldn't understand or get the answer to right away, because the answer is not going to come right away? We think the answer is elusive, but many times the answer is staring us in our face. It's up to us to increase our wisdom so we can see the answer. You think about an old breaker. You think about why we were fired off a job, or why. And as you get more wisdom, it hits you, because you could be driving down the street and a song remind you of something, and the answer comes right behind that. So don't feel bad when an answer doesn't always come right away, and stop always looking externally for the answer to come to you, because oftentimes it's an internal growth that has to happen for you to absorb the answer that's glaring, looking at you right in the face the whole time.
That's right.
See? So that's all I wanted to stay on top of what you said, brother. Just want to thank you again. I can't wait for the week to rush by quick so we can be back here again. And hopefully my internet will work as soon as the show is supposed to come on, because you know how sometimes they do us.
Yeah.
We're always going to keep moving forward, and I'm going to burn it up this week. You know, I have so much things doing, but I'm always going to put the time in, and I will be here as long as I'm alive and breathing. And also follow me on Instagram. TikTok is LANCESCURV.com, which I use for certain reasons, distribution. And always go to the site LANCESCURV.com, because I'm going to have different things that you won't see anywhere else. We're going to make it interesting now. We're going to vary it around. I learned a few moves. I sparred with some of the worst ones out there trying to take my head off, and I learned some moves now, even more shrewd.
Well, congratulations, brother, on everything that's manifested for you. You know, I know Muhammad Ali would be proud of you today.
Yes, he's the greatest of all times, but I'm telling you, Neil Frazier, something about that name, Neil Frazier, just keeps me on my toes, makes me think about March 8th, 1971. Anyway, yes, thank you, brother. It's always a pleasure. Yes,
when definitely. You take care of yourself, I'll be spying in on you this week.
Always welcome, brother. Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, peace. Wow, let me just put this banner back up. I was just going to end everything off, but I'm going to talk for a few minutes. And life is wonderful. It really is. Even when things happen to us that others will say, "Oh, that's unfortunate." Lots of times, and thank you, Dr. V. Issa White. And you're long overdue to come on and share some wisdom and your perspectives on things. And I see the things that you're putting up. And I'm just so happy to be in the company. And I'm not saying this to brown nose anybody. It's the truth that the people around me ascend me. They help me to go higher. They help me to go to a different level. And as you all will know, I'm like that little kid who's 5 years old. My name is LANCESCURV and I'm 5 years old. You all know I'm 61 soon. And I feel just as much fire, just as much righteous aggression, and even more wisdom as every year goes by. But for me to be blessed to have a brother Neil Frazier, a Dr. V. Issa White, and all those who are in the chat room here, and those who are watching and listening, that send me messages and send me information and help me to ascend. I'm so thankful for that, because we can find ourselves around so many lower vibrational entities, and those are so easy to come by. And I'm not saying that in a condescending way. I'm not saying that in some kind of my nose is up in the air kind of way, because I talk with everybody. But just like Brother Neil Frazier said, you know, you will have people that get around you and you feel your energy draining. When people have that uplifted, positive energy about them, even if they don't know as much as you do, you're still not going to feel a drain because, see, they're climbing. So you may be on a spiritual level so much more advanced, and they might be a fledgling, a neophyte, but because of their enthusiasm, it's a plus for them to be around you. You can have people who, and I've been talking so much, that's why my voice sounds a little shaky, but you can be around people who have many degrees, status, and because their basic energy is not right, they will drain you. And those are the ones that you say to yourself, why do I feel this way? Because they know so much, but they're not right. And that's the big hurdle these days, because we can be fooled so fast by these entities who come with the external, and you go down the checklist and you say, oh, they must be this, they must be that. But when you peel away the facade, when you peel away the layers, you realize what it is. So we really have to depend on our intuition, if you want to call it that, our gift of discernment, or you want to call it the third eye, whatever it is. We call it different things. Now, again, I wanted to clarify from the other day when I meant to say, and I'm going to do it again, I'm not going to do it no more after this. You know, because you have people who, they will come at you in the comments section, and just with stupidity, once you explain what it is and how you see a certain thing. When I say the word, and I'm going to say this one time, they're going to feel real good that I've given them acknowledgement. This is the last time. I've explained it. When I talk about the sum total of the movement of the universe, if I use the word God and say God, I always say that I'm not using this in the European sense. I'm not using it in the European religious sense. It's just like saying transit time. Now, when we say transit time, we don't mean always going from the east side of town to the west side of town. When you speak of that transit time in a medical sense, it's the time that it takes from the food that you put in your mouth until it comes out on the other end. Transit time. That's all it is. When you speak of metabolism, it's the whole total function of all of your bodily functions. And then we can say transit time, or if you have a faster metabolism, which is a good thing, or you slow it down. If you happen to be an ectomorph is the people who are lean and slim and high strung. So maybe if you slow it down a little bit, it's better. If you're an endomorph, those are the ones who put on weight. They're thick, they're heavy. You want to speed it up. So now, and mesomorph is in the middle. That's bodybuilding talk, y'all. So now, when I say God, I mean the whole sum total function of this universe, which is so vast. I'm not speaking of anything European. I'm not speaking of anything on a limited level. But there's so many people who want to refuse to understand how I express myself for whatever reason of attention or chastising. It's really crazy. And just like Brother Neil was saying, when you have people who are online, they get upset with you when you don't check in with them every day at a certain time. So imagine you're a content creator. And even though this is a new channel, the numbers are low, there's a lot of people I know that understand that I can't spend 3 hours a day with 20,000 people. It ain't going to work. But I try my best to touch base. And sometimes even all week, Brother Neil was sending me emails and I didn't have a chance. I said, okay, I'm going to answer him back when I come in. And when I got in from the work outside, I put my head to the pillow and that's all she wrote. But he understands that. So there's a lot of things we have to grasp in this new social media world, which has been around for a while, but it's still permeating our brains and changing the way we think and how we deal with people. And it's also something that's stirring up the things that are not right with us. I'm not going to go off into a whole other show, but I'll do something about that tomorrow. But there's so much that we have to talk about. And the answer, I'll say, with most things are inside of us, because the God, the life force, the power is inside of us. Don't be scared of a word. Understand what a person means when he says that word. You see? Oh, wow, I see a comment down here from Dr. V. Issa. It's a spiritual, mental, and physical revolution that is taking place. The mental revolution is in Africa. You're standing in the epic center. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I know I'm here for a reason. I'm not going to overstate it or try to make it seem like something that is more than what it is. But wherever I am, I have a job to do and a role to play. And I have some great news that I'm probably going to drop you a call after the show is over, Dr. V, because I have some very, very phenomenal, very powerful news to share with you that knocked me off of my feet. So I know by that confirmation, but I know by that revelation that I'm supposed to be here. For what? I don't know, but I'm having more of a understanding the closer I get to it. It's like they say, you can't really see beyond your headlights when you're driving in pitch black in the dark, way up in the mountains in the country. You can only see where the headlights reach, right? But you can't see 1 mile, 2 miles down the road, but you do know by the signs that are along the way that you're going the right way. And I know by the momentum and the energy and the placement, I say to myself, how did I get here? Now I know the chronological path I've taken. Now there's a little doggone baby sitting over here and he's making some noise. Let me see if it's something I need to care to, look after, because I sleep with machetes. Yeah, there are other dogs in the neighborhood, so we'll see. Thank you, Lee Hall. Thank you, Lee Hall. And you know what? That's a call to action. Nothing to worry about, but I need to see what this is. But there are other dogs in the neighborhood, but I'm babysitting a dog for someone for the whole week. And he's my little bodyguard, as small as he is. I'm going to go, but I'm going to come back with something tomorrow. I doubt if I come back with something tonight, because you do know it's 8:41 for me and I'm kind of falling asleep right now. But we will do something tomorrow. I have to get up probably at 4 in the morning and everything, you know, the same way, going smooth, moving forward. Anyway, I got a call to action here. Let me go up and check the perimeter and make sure everything is all right. Like I always do. That's the correction officer in me. And much love to you all. And I thank you for being here. And it's just a wonderful journey. And all of you here and beyond is making it even more wonderful. And we're going to go places with this thing. All right. Much love to you all. Peace. LANCESCURV out.
Make sure to go to LANCESCURV.com, an online magazine established in 2001, containing written articles, thousands of talk shows and discussions, cutting-edge cartoons, as well as erotic expressions and tasteful adult photography. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. Once you get a taste of the world of LANCESCURV, trust me, you'll be back for more. LANCESCURV.com. Bold, raw, and uncut.